My name's Anthony Taylor, and today I'm going to share with you how you can get more calm and safety in your work, how you can evolve your teamwork and collaboration, accomplish your goals in your business, your organization, and make progress, and also how you can evolve as a leader and a manager and make a contribution to the people and around you in your community. So thanks for joining us today. My name's Anthony Taylor. I'm the managing partner at SME Strategy. And today we're going to talk about why you should do a strategic plan. So I try to approach this more of like a coffee chat kind of thing, because, if you're listening to this, you probably know or have an idea of why you should create a strategic plan. So I'm not going to try to convince you. I'm not going to try you even to work with us, although you can, because we facilitate strategic planning sessions and we help teams execute their strategic plans. But more than anything, I'm here to help you make a decision in your mind around, is strategic planning for you? Should you embark on the process of executing and creating a strategic plan for your team? So hopefully in the next couple seconds, you can grab yourself a pen and paper and just do some numbers with me. Okay. Now I'm going to just cover the stuff that you might have been here for. Okay. So in a strategic plan, you'll get a vision, mission, you'll get strategic priorities, you'll get culture, you'll get all of those things. That's if you want to do a strategic plan. I want you to look at strategic planning and embarking on the journey of creating a strategic plan from a different perspective. I want you to think about it as really the cost and value to you. Okay. So hopefully you can get a piece of paper, and I'm going to start with the cost side of things. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about what's not having a strategic plan costing you. So one of the first areas I want to talk about is the sort of uncertainty and fear that might be facing your team right now. So at the time of recording, we're in the middle of COVID, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the market depending on, what kind of business you're in. The future is uncertain. And while the future is uncertain, and we, of course, can't predict the future, what it does to your team internally is causes them to avoid any sort of risk-taking decisions. It actually causes them to second-guess almost all of their decisions. If you're a manager or leader, you are probably in the place where you're like, hey, should I go over here? Should I go over here? Should I go over here? What should I do? And you ask yourself that question probably 30, 40, 50 times a day. So I want you to think to yourself, what is the cost of being able to not make decisions and not being able to move forward confidently? Now, that could be either a psychological cost, that could be a financial cost, that could be a time cost, but there is a cost. And the cost isn't to me, it's to you. And so I don't care about I care about you on this phone call, and I don't care about anybody else. So think to yourself, if you're in that position, what is the cost of not being able to make decisions effectively? What is the cost of not being able to confidently share your plan moving forward? So that's one of the costs I want you to look at. The other is, and I don't know how your organization runs currently, but what is the cost of potential stress in your organization because things are sort of reactive? Now, outside of COVID, if you have any sort of reactivity in your organization, if you have, plans shifting from day to day, if you have to firefight, if you have to do any of those things, what is the cost of that? Maybe the cost is that you can't focus on some of the core things that you want to focus on. Maybe the cost is that you, as a leader, have to spend more time personally firefighting. That's not what you like to do. It's not really where you want to be doing it. Maybe there's a cost in sort of teamwork and happiness, and that the stress of the environment is causing a bunch of challenges. So I give you a minute and say, what are some of the costs as it relates to stress, productivity, that kind of stuff from your perspective? Now, if you're thinking about a strategic plan, even if you're not thinking about a strategic plan, I want you to look at and ask yourself, do I find that information falls through the cracks in my team? Is information falling through the cracks? Am I sometimes missing things? Am I having to sort of second guess or not have all the information that I need? And what is the cost of that? What is the cost of having to do duplicate work? What is the cost of having to go back and find that information? What is the cost of not having that information when you need it? And the last cost I want you to think about right now, actually, maybe not the last cost, is what is the cost of your team working under their current conditions? What is the cost of your team working under your current conditions? So you can measure that cost in terms of turnover. You can measure it in terms of productivity and impact. You can measure it again in terms of just like pure money, again, towards accomplishing that future. Well, what is the cost of, if your team continues to work under these conditions, what does that cost to you? Because not having a strategic plan, not having a structure, not having a guide is going to exacerbate and continue those costs. And notice I haven't said cost, like how much it costs to do a strategic plan, because it doesn't really cost that much money to do a strategic plan if you do it yourself, or you can pay somebody like us or a consulting firm to do it for you. But there's a cost to inaction. And I think the biggest cost that I want to highlight for you is the cost of not accomplishing your vision. A fairly standard client company for us is around like $10 to $20 million. We range to 200, we range to, much more than that, but about 10 million. And most of the time they say, hey, I want to come to you and I need you to help us create like a 3-year vision for our company. We've got 50 to 100 to 200 staff. Help us create a strategic plan. It's okay. Well, where do you want to go? And so it doesn't matter what my clients say. I want you to say, okay, well, what is that vision that we have for us in 3 years? Where do we want to go? And it could be a financial number. It could be a headcount number. It could be number of customers, whatever it is. But I'm going to tell you now that there's something at stake for you in terms of, what you're trying to accomplish. There's like where you are and where you're trying to get to. And then the gap is this. So the cost of not having a strategic plan is potentially that difference. And I say that because there's a realm of possibility that you accomplish that plan or you accomplish those goals without a plan. I don't think it's very likely, but it's possible. And so what is the cost to you not having a strategic plan? By the way, I'm going to answer questions throughout this. So if you have any questions, you could put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. And then, in terms of going back to the cost is, what is the cost of not putting that full plan in place? And like really think, it's like, if you don't have a strategic plan, if you don't have guidance, if you don't have alignment, if you don't have clarity, if you don't have that one clear vision for your team, what is the cost? And most people relate it to sort of like frustration, uncertainty, annoyance, turnover, things cost twice as much, take 3 times as long. We're not tracking, so we don't actually know if we hit our goals. It's frustrating. And I'm just going to like let that sit with you for a second to say, hey, what is the cost to me of not doing a strategic plan? And that's really the why, because my why for doing a strategic plan is going to be way different for your why. And so if you're watching this, I just really want you to consider for yourself what that why is and what would make the cost great enough for you to do it. I have a sip of my coffee since it's a coffee meeting. Now, the flip side of that is the benefits. This is why you're really here. You just want the good stuff. You don't want the bad stuff. You want the good stuff. So what would it be worth to you if you had more calm and safety, like psychological safety, like you showed up to work and you're like, okay, everything is handled. We're like straight. Everything's organized. I know my team is working on their stuff. I know that the plans are in place. I know that what I need to be doing is being done. What's it worth to you to have greater teamwork and collaboration? That means when you're showing up to work, people aren't firefighting. They're actually like operating at a high level of productivity. Is that like stuff is getting done? Innovation is getting done. Progress is being made. All those plans are starting to come to fruition, and then you're having the opportunity to like oversee it and help make it successful. What's it worth to you, both as a leader and within a company, to accomplish your goals, to hit that vision, to make the progress? to be able to look back, after year 1 and after year 2 and say, wow, like we really did like all of that, like all the stuff we really wanted to happen happened. That's one of the cool parts about being a consultant and having clients that have worked with us for so many years, is that like we see the end before they do, because we've gotten to go through it so many times. And so we have this like planning point right here where we go through the strategic planning process and we create a strategic plan and we do all that vision, mission, values, like priorities, all that stuff. And then we see them 3 years or 5 years later when they've actually implemented their plan, and then they look back and they say, wow, like I've done all of that. Like what's that feeling worth to you? What's that accomplishment worth to you? What is that like ROI? What is that money worth to you in terms of your plan? And then the last piece that I want you to consider as it looks to like, is it worth it to you to do a strategic plan is, what's it worth to you when you evolve as a leader, as a professional, when you've actually gotten to that end point of the career, you've accomplished the things you want to contribute, you've accomplished what you want to accomplish, and you're in the stage where you can contribute to others, you can give back to others, you can really like demonstrate that leadership piece. What's that like for you? And so again, we can look at like strategic planning. Why strategic planning? Why do a strategic plan? You're going to get better communication. Your team is going to work more effective. You're going to have better culture. People are going to be happier. You're going to have lower turnover. You're going to have higher ROI on pretty much everything you do. You're going to have greater productivity. You're going to have a clear direction. People are going to be less uncertain. All of that stuff comes with a strategic plan. And we've got it ad nauseum on our website. But what I really want you to look at and reflect for your own personal situation is, what is the cost? What are the costs and what are the benefits of going through the planning process, the strategic planning process? Because it does take time. When we create an online strategic plan, we do 5 3-hour sessions plus homework. It costs each leader 20 hours just to create the plan. But if you think that 20 hours is a drop in the bucket relative to the 3 years they're going to spend executing that plan, that it's an investment on the front end in planning so that you don't have to, re-go over everything on the back end. So that's really what I want to share with you today is, what is the cost of not doing a strategic plan? And what are the benefits that you would get from implementing a plan, moving it forward, and helping create an environment and a space for your team to be successful? So I'm going to stick around for a little while answering questions. If you're interested in having somebody ask you more of these personal questions one-on-one to really determine the ROI of doing strategic plan, what you get out of it, you can book a consultation with us in the link in the chat. You can visit us at smestrategy.net for more information about what we do. And, as a company, we've been around for the past 10 years helping small and medium enterprises, not-for-profits, and some actually larger organizations create and implement their strategic plan successfully so their teams can have clarity, buy-in, and engagement, and really have that like work environment that they want and accomplish those goals. So if you are committed to being able to accomplish your goals, if you're the kind of person that wants to create a work environment that supports all of their employees accomplishing their goals, then that's the why going through the process of creating a strategic plan. So my name is Anthony Taylor. I'm the managing partner at SME Strategy. If you like today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. Stay on with us. We have more practical tips on how to do that. But what I would recommend to you in closing is, take the time with your senior leadership, take the time with your board, reflect on the costs of not doing a strategic plan, and reflect on the benefits of implementing a strategic plan, and look for yourself. Like, that's your why. Your why isn't the little pieces. The why are the bigger pieces. And only you can decide what the why is. The process doesn't change. We're here to support you. There's other great consultants across North America and the world that are here to support you. But for yourself, really make sure that you get flat. What is your why? What's the outcome? And you'll see that the, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, if you do invest in getting a plan done, is going to be a pale in comparison to the big outcomes that you can get as a team. Okay. So if you don't have focus, your plan is bogus. Make sure that you get your team focused on what's most important. That's the why for you. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Click the link in the chat for a free consultation if you'd like to share more. And I'm happy to answer some questions if you're around. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.